Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over a story titled Cake Update, Why Is It Always the Coworkers? And guys, this is part 2 to the video I did yesterday where the guy, after being married to his wife for 5 years, where he thought everything was cool, he found out that she was having an affair with her boss. And his wife became unbelievably disrespectful and rude to him. And upon him gathering all the evidence, contacting a lawyer, having a PI follow her, he obviously confronted her about the issue. And she was basically so unbelievably rude about it and arrogant about it, basically daring him to end the marriage with her, saying that, hey, in today's world, I'm a woman, I can have my cake and eat it too. All this rude behavior. So the guy goes to his lawyer, he wants to have her served, and he decides to have her, in a creative way, had the guy that served her the divorce papers show up at her work with a cake, with a picture, because you can do that on cakes, of her and her boss embracing and being a little physical. The lawyer didn't want him to do it, so that could cause problems down the road with the judge and the divorce, but he did it anyway, and the wife had a meltdown when she saw it and all that, and that's where the story ended. And the guy wanted to know, hey, was this a mistake? Did I go too far in doing that? And we're going to pick up in part 2, where you're going to hear about how things proceed after that with regards to the wife, the lawyer, all that, and the wife's reasoning behind her having the affair with the boss and all that. And when you hear the reasons behind all this, it's not going to surprise you at all, guys, okay? And definitely some lessons I'm going to point out along the way as I go through this story. So part 2 starts off, I'm overwhelmed with all the support I've gotten in the past week. I'm still off from work. My boss decided to give me 2 weeks instead of the one that I requested. Good man he is. I've already split our savings in half, put mine half in an account in my name, and changed auto pay for the mortgage, credit freezes, etc. Everything my lawyer advised me to do with our household funds. First off, we have no kids. Well, that's really good. That's going to make this whole process a hell of a lot easier. Second, I'm seeing a therapist to help me. I found one that is well-versed in helping with infidelity. Seen him twice, and I'm feeling a lot more balanced out. Still, some weird low points, but nowhere near the same amount of swing between the two. Yeah, guys, I mean, if you're with a woman for a number of years, and you've been married a bunch of years, and you thought things were cool most of the time, and then all of a sudden this happens, you're going to have mood swings. You're going to have days you're feeling a lot better, and literally the next day you don't want to get out of bed. That's completely normal, okay? And these are situations where if you actually can get some help to help you out, that's not weakness, that's not being a little bitch or anything like that. That's actually a very healthy thing to do, you know. And that way you can talk to somebody about these things that you don't have to worry that they're going to go blab to everybody else. Like, you know, I tell you, if you got to get things off your chest, talk to your best buddies. But even then, there is the possibility they can go blab to somebody else. Okay, I'm hoping that you have good friends that wouldn't do that. But still, and also sometimes it's actually easier to talk to someone that, you know, doesn't know you, doesn't know your history and all. And this is a professional, and he is bound by, obviously, law, or not say law, but his own, how it works, that he has to keep things confidential. And that can definitely help. He says here, after the cake stunt, I'm definitely taking my lawyer's advice on anything from this point forward. He says, you can be happy or you can be right. In regards to taking his advice, and I get that now. He told me that if my wife wants to return home, that I'm not legally allowed to kick her out. But I should record all interactions with her. She's not staying at home again, still at her mom's. But she did want to come by on Saturday to talk. Yeah, I would have all interactions from this point either in writing by email or at his lawyer's office. Because with the way she was acting towards him and what I went through in the last video, you know, the arrogance, how rude she was, how disrespectful, you can't put anything past her. So it'd be best all interactions in writing, that somebody you can have proof of, or have an attorney there with the recorder on or something like that. You can't take any chances. And with regards to him saying, you know, I'm listening to my lawyer now, yeah, listen to your lawyer. Okay, it was all funny about the whole cake thing. It was outright hilarious, in my opinion. Very creative. But if that could cause him problems in terms of the settlements and all that stuff, because the judge gets annoyed with his doing a vengeful thing, and judges will get annoyed about that, you don't need that. So it's always best to listen to your lawyer. As I said in the last video, I know lots of lawyers, lots of friends are lawyers, and these are things I've learned over the years. He says here, my lawyer told me I could, but he said would prefer if she wants to talk to have it done at his office. with our own lawyer present as well as himself. I presented this to her in email, of course. Very smart. And she responded that she didn't have a lawyer. My lawyer said, barring showing up at his office, have witnesses, and record the meeting. I let my wife know this was my condition to talking with her. She actually accepted. She accepted because this guy obviously showed his hand. He showed that he's not the weak guy that she perceived him as, and he was willing to go this far. And it's amazing how if you have shown weakness and somebody's used to that, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you man up and you start showing strength, it is amazing how the 180 that can happen like that when you start showing strength. This is why when you're a kid, oftentimes you deal with situations with bullies. Bullies prey on weakness. They'll observe the kid and see his body language and his size and how he talks and how he acts and determine that kid is weak and go after him. And if that kid doesn't stand up for himself, that's just going to invite the bully to keep doing what he's doing and other bullies to come after him. But if the kid shows strength and stands up to the bully, the odds are he's going to back down pretty quickly. It's usually how it works. And it goes that way in real life, in adulthood, with any type of bully. You got to stand up for yourself. And this guy, she was bullying him. And in the last video, you saw with the things I was reading, the things that she was saying to him, she was pretty much daring him to divorce her, saying, hey, I'm going to get half no matter what, and blah, blah, blah. And basically, you don't have the guts to do it. Obviously, her respect for him was like that, because she saw him as weak. She saw herself as higher than him. But now he showed his hand that he's not messing around, and all of a sudden, you're seeing now she's not getting a lawyer, she's agreeing to his terms. See what I mean, guys? And you're going to see more of this as I go forward. Goes on. So I had two mutual friends come in, all three of us with our phones on the table, ready to record. She came in and tried to give me an awkward hug, but I just held my hand up, and the phone started to record it as the four of us sat down at the kitchen table. She's actually trying to give this guy a hug. I'd be like, After what you did and the things you said to me. By the way, guys, it's bad enough that she was having the affair. Okay, we're not going to debate that one. But the things that she was saying to him, that just did it. Absolutely, hug my ass. She was actually apologetic. She said she felt like she was watching a movie versus being in charge of her life, but it felt thrilling with a rush. She asked if I wanted to know why. I said I really didn't care at this point. She felt that she owed it that much to me and told me. She said that when she started going back to the office, when it reopened, she got really close to three of her female co-workers, each a few years older than her. Two of them divorced. She said they wormed their way into her head, told her about how she's owed more than she's getting. They asked her constantly about her home life. So here we go, where instead of her owning up to her screw up, she is assigning blame on the female co-workers. Okay, I'm not going to say that didn't happen, but she's blaming them. Okay, and again, guys, like I said in the last video, what have I told you about who your girlfriend or her fiance or your wife hangs out with? Pay attention to who she hangs out with, her friends or co-workers, because there's a joke, there's a saying, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if she's spending a bunch of time with a bunch of divorced women that are obviously unhappy and bitter, or women that aren't married yet and unhappy because they're not, they're going to have an issue with her being married and happy, and in some cases may try to sabotage it, because misery loves company. No joke. And here we go right here with them planning these things in her head, saying that she deserves better and blah, blah, blah. They're trying to sabotage. And wait to see what happens with these female co-workers later on in the story. The ringleader apparently was psychoanalyzing me for my wife's stories. My wife told them about my issues with managers back in my early career, and the ringleader took this to mean I'm threatened by educated people. Early on in the story, he graduated from a trade school and does really well and makes 50% more money than her, even though she has I believe a master's degree or graduate degree and is in management. He still makes more than her, but that still wasn't enough for her, and she was constantly pressuring him to go back to school and all that. What I tell you guys about status with women, degrees and status, that is everything, okay? Generally speaking, women want to get a guy that is higher than them, that they can look up to, okay? Higher position, higher money. But nowadays, since so many women are going to school, getting advanced degrees, and in all fairness, hey, good for them for working hard and doing those things. That's cool. But the problem is they still want that guy higher than them. So it's going to be a lot less guys. And so you can get a guy, say a woman has a master's degree. If a guy has a master's degree, that meets her level. But if he has a bachelor's degree, he's not on her level, even though he can be making more money than her. It's crazy, but a lot of women think this way. And they only stop thinking that way when they probably hit their 30s, mid-30s, and they haven't found a guy, and their biological clock's going crazy. They want to get married, have kids. At that point, then suddenly the guy that might have the bachelor's degree or something less is a little more appealing because the clock is ticking. Only that, okay? And I'm not saying all women, but a lot are like that. And so she was giving this guy a hard time about his job and his career and all that. And they're talking right here, manipulating her, according to what she's saying, about the whole, he's threatened by people with degrees and things like that. Educated people. It goes on, the ringleader told her that I was a submissive male and she needed a take-charge man in her life. That if I found out, I might have shouted and threatened, but get in line. He didn't say enough in his story if he was the submissive male, but what I put together, I would definitely say yeah, but I wouldn't say there's degrees of that, obviously. But obviously, number one, they're manipulating her. But number two, she's using this is her coming from her, and you can't trust what she says. But again, she's putting all the blame on them. My wife still has her job for now, but only just. The people that saw the cake was my wife, the 3 witches, her affair partner / boss, and according to her, 2 other coworkers that were lateral to her. The boss immediately ended the affair, told her to only communicate with him in email, and that if she ever tried to show up in his office, he would call in a coworker immediately. How about that? The second the cat was out of the bag with the affair, the boss didn't want to have anything to do with her. That's karma, but the karma gets worse. The 3 witches, the three so-called office friends, turned on her immediately and publicly berated her for doing such an awful thing. The other coworkers, according to her, didn't want to get involved with her soap opera. Gee, there's an idea. Work is for work, nothing more. So, no reports to Human Resources. She said her 3 friends doing a 180 on her immediately sort of shock her out of her fog. She seemed really ashamed and said she had to ask for $5,000. I was confused because there was money left in her account. I made it a point that she had it. She was living with her mom and she didn't have any major expenses. It turns out that the ringleader and that 2 other witches wanted to be paid for their silence. I just don't buy this, okay? I mean, no. Let's just say that what she's saying is accurate about them, the things they tried to get her to do, and get her to cheat and all that stuff. But the fact that they wanted money and they were blackmailing her, it doesn't add up to me, okay? I'm not saying that people aren't capable of that, but it just doesn't add up. I think she just wants more money. It says they're blackmailing her and gave her a deadline, lest Human Resources will know all about the details. She was pleading for help. I told her there was no going back to normal after this. Everything will change. That if she bends now, it will be more money later. Yeah. Now they're bullying her. Again, this is what she's saying. I don't know if I entirely buy this whole blackmailing her thing, but the fact that the boss doesn't want anything to do with her, the 3 so-called office friends turned on her, that's karma, honey. This guy was a good guy. He really was. And I want to point out also during things went south during the whole lockdown because of the pandemic. He said, according to him, like back in the story, everything was cool. They were having a good time with each other. But then the pandemic happened. She started getting rather bitchy about stupid little things, stuff like that. But, hey, as an adult, because I believe she's about 30 years old in this story, you're responsible for your own actions. But again, we're in today's world where everybody is conditioned to that no matter what it is, it's always somebody else's fault. There's always someone or something to blame for your actions, okay? There's no accountability anymore. And I know there's the old joke from the movie As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson about women and accountability. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, you're probably getting a laugh from that. But seriously, take ownership of it. It's you. You screwed up. And it goes on. Best for her to report herself, her boss, and her coworkers. It would work better than having sleepless nights waiting for the knife to fall. She seemed to hem and haw on that. But she did finally ask the big question, what about us? Where does that leave us? She's actually asking that question. She's at the office with the lawyer, and the guy told her it's done, and she wants to know after what happened, what about us? let's just say for argument's sake that they really had a good thing going, and she ended up cheating, and it was like a one-time thing. Let's just say it was a one-time thing, and she was truly sorry, and she wasn't pulling all that really nasty, rude, arrogant crap that she was doing to the guy in the other video. Maybe, just maybe, you could see the possibility in her head that they maybe could reconcile or something down the road. She obviously would be in the doghouse for a while. Maybe, just maybe, in her mind. But after the way she talked to him and treated him, no way. Are you out of your mind? But she's trying to hope that he'll have pity on her, because she's, again, in the back of her mind thinks, this is the guy I had my way with before, so hopefully I can have my way with him again. I told her there was no us. That's done. And she best get herself that lawyer to go over the divorce. The best I can do is tell her how to handle her work situation, but she most likely needs to find another career after this. I also said she needs to go to therapy herself, because someone who could go to laughing in my face to pleading for help in a week later needs help sorting themselves out. Exactly. She was laughing in his face and making fun of him and being so rude, but now she's pleading. But this guy, he showed his cards, he showed his strength, and look what happened. Boom. She's submissive. And it certainly helps that the boss kicked her to the curb, and the so-called friends of hers in her office, not only do they have nothing to do with her, they're supposedly blackmailing her. She pointed out the cake and all, and said, yeah, and I am seeing someone for that too. She left soon after that, no word on if she will follow my advice or try to pay her coworkers blackmail. Why is it always the coworkers? And that is it for this particular story, guys. I'm going to be on the lookout for more updates to this, because this is a pretty good one. But bottom line for this whole story is, guys, is that number one, with regards to the coworkers, like I told you before, for those of you guys that are married or in relationships, watch out who your lady hangs out with. If you sense some things going on, be aware that they can have influence over, especially if she's not very strong-willed to stand up to crap like that. Also, the old thing about accountability, again, more and more, blame the friends, blame the boss, blame this, not taking personal responsibility for your actions. It's amazing how it is nowadays. But anyhow, this was quite an interesting story, and the whole serving her with the cake, I thought that was hilarious. Very creative, never heard anything that funny before. So, but anyhow, guys, that's it for the story. I will definitely be on the lookout for if there's a part 3 to all this, and let you guys know down the road. Be sure to comment down below, let me know what you think about this, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.